Oh boy, do I have some drama for you all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing the PPL this season because obviously my laptop got stolen. But now I have this Mac, and I don't really know how Macs work. And my decision not to come back into the PPL was decided even before my shit got stolen. So, yeah, there's no reason other than that I'm not coming back to the PPL at least this season because I just didn't want to play Wi-Fi. I feel like I have been kind of like a huge like presence in the Wi-Fi scene, almost like a detriment, where like I was looking at these various leagues and realizing that I was helping like at least a third of like the player base in like every league, and it was like, okay, when you start seeing that, when you start seeing like 80,000 custom berries, that's when you know maybe you need to take a step back. And I really just want to start playing Draft League like for myself again, rather than for um, other people, other Wi-Fi players, or frankly for like YouTube either. Like I enjoy making videos, but at some point the editing process became really, really excruciatingly just boring and time consuming. And I found myself just like almost like forcibly like canceling plans in life in order to like make space for Wi-Fi games and Wi-Fi editing and Wi-Fi uploads and stuff. Um, and I would rather be able to make videos on my own time rather than be forced to make time for videos. So yeah, moving forward, you're gonna just see very raw, very unedited, very just like fun but chill and analytic content from me. Yeah, and that's why I'm not in PPL is just because I already did my you know big PPL league twice. I won. I think I've pretty much done all the things that I came back to do to the Wi-Fi community. Will I come back to play a Wi-Fi league at some point? Probably. But I'm not itching to do so anytime soon. Plus, like, if me not being in PPL makes way for even like one new creator to get seen, then that's worth it. So that's hopefully that's enough. But I'm excited to see how PPL plays out. It's the first league that is happening that I've literally said to people. I've said to Uzi, I've said to Nexus, I've said to everyone else who I might help, like Daria, J Ricky, Vepsis, Mounte. Like, I'm just gonna let the kids play. Like, I'm just gonna hands off. Like, I'm not gonna help anyone, and I'm gonna see how it goes. And yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to watch as a true spectator, and not a participant in any capacity. So that's gonna be fun. Anyway, yes. So why are we here? Because I want to kind of give you all like an idea of the type of stuff I want to do on the channel. But let me just give some context for where I'm at in terms of like my Showdown, Showdown Draft League life right now. So I was playing in a league, still am, called the Summer Seasonal, which is Smogon. If you all don't know Smogon, which like determines like OU, UU, etc., has a hand in Draft League now. So they have their own tiers, their own tournaments, etc., with like 500 people, like a ton of people. And I participated in a Smogon league called DCL, which was a team tournament where you're on teams with multiple players and you play across different generations and stuff. But I decided to do an individual tournament, which was a Gen 9 tournament with high tier Terra. So I had Terra Mew and Terra Thunderous. And it's a really tough tournament. I mean, it's a tournament with like 500 people. If you lose 2 games, then you're out. And it's like, it's many, many, many weeks. So it's very tough to make playoffs. I think you have to finish within the top like maybe 10%, maybe not even that, maybe like 8% of the entire tournament in order to make playoffs. So it's pretty tough. So anyway, the reason I bring this up is to say like that's what I've been doing. I've just been playing in this Showdown League. It's been fun to just kind of build on my own time, plan my own time, not have to upload it. But I do want to upload it. I want to like be able to upload and show postcoms and like an analysis of all my games once I finish the tournament. So when that happens, I think I'll do what people call a Draft League movie, which is like when essentially you watch multiple games of a season, of an entire season, back to back to back. So that's what I want to do. So that's future content. And then in addition, I got drafted for the second DCL. And what I mean by I got drafted is there's a player auction. So there's team captains and they can bid with like a specific budget on players. Now I went for like most people don't get drafted. Like, it's hard to get drafted in the first place. I went for kind of like a low amount, but going for a low amount is good because it means that I went for a low amount last season. You might know where I'm going with this. Going for a low amount's pretty good because there's not a lot of pressure. It means people acknowledge you're good, but also simultaneously, like, people are acknowledging that you're a good player, and that's great. I did really well last season. I made finals. I had a positive record. I was a big active presence on the team that I was on last season in DCL. So I expected to get drafted again here, but I didn't expect to get drafted for as much as I did. I got drafted for 20K, which is, for those who don't know, like I think a sixth of the total budget of the team. If even that, it might be even a bigger fraction. So, I was the most expensive player on the team, and that's kind of like mind blowing to me because there's so many amazing players in this tournament. Who I would consider vastly better than me. So that's going to be something else that I'm going to be doing during this time and probably making content about whether it's after the entire thing is over or just throughout the season. I've still yet to figure out. But those are the two things I'm doing. Anyway, that's it. That's just me ranting. But yes, that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so what are we doing now? I wanted to kind of give people an idea of what a Draft League movie might look like in some kind of like smaller capacity. So I decided to join a speed tour, and I decided to join a VGC speed tour because I'd never played VGC Draft before. And I kind of was just like panic picking everything at the time and just kind of figured like, you know what, it's only going to be, it's just a bracket. So if you lose, a best of three, that's how you do it. It's best of threes, just like VGC is, but it's Draft League and you draft 8 months. So that's what it was. So yeah, we drafted a team, and that team, I'll just show you all. Like, this is my week 1 build. It's Ogre Pond Wellspring, Gouging Fire, Great Tusk, King Gambit, Tornadus T, Lapras, and then I drafted Hypno, and I drafted Plusle, obviously, because Plusle's the GOAT. But I didn't ever bring Hypno or Plusle, so don't worry about those. I brought these 6. And these 6 seemed pretty good in VGC. Shout out to Lindworm for helping me out during parts of the very, very fast, quick-faced speed tour draft. If you all don't like VGC, that's fair. I mean, like, I didn't know anything about it, but I think it's kind of fascinating to some extent. So if you want to see me just kind of like figure it out as I go along, we'll see. Also, I played this like a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to kind of be reacting to the games a little bit as well. But I promise, like, the actual Draft League movie quality in future videos will be high quality. Anyway, enough of that. So VGC, obviously, you can only bring 4 mons to a game. It's best of 3, and yeah, it's just really interesting. Big things like speed control. So things like Tailwind on Tornadus T is really good. Like, Tornadus T is worse than Tornadus I, but because it's Draft League, Tornadus T is like a nice cheap option, which is cool. Terra King Gambit seems really strong. Like, anything can Terra here, which is neat. Ogre Pond Wellspring, I think, was my round 1, just because it's really strong, and it gets Follow Me and like redirections really good in VGC. And then Gouging Fire, Great Tusk, just really strong hard hitters. And then I had like 3 points left for 3 mons, so I got Lapras because Lapras seemed like a really good like anti-pick into a lot of like different things, like Shin Pao. I don't know why I think it's good into Shin Pao, but I just decided it was good into Shin Pao. Or like Iron Bundle, or like, I don't know, like other Ogre Pond Wellsprings, because I think there was one more in the pool. Just Water Absorb in general, really. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And I figured, like, you know what? I don't think Lapras has ever been seen, but like, it gets Muddy Water, it gets Blizzard, right? These are moves that are spread moves, and that could be really neat. So I didn't really expect myself to be bringing Lapras to a lot, or like, I expected to be bringing it, but I didn't expect to be like bringing it in like the 4 mons that I choose. So you'll see if I do or not. But yeah, these were the main 5. It was like Ogre Pond Wellspring, King Gambit, Torn T, Gouging Fire, Great Tusk, like really top heavy. But since I'm bringing like 4 mons to a game, I think being top heavy isn't really that bad in this type of format. So Game one, we're going up against A12, who's also a singles player. So we were both kind of trying to figure out what we were doing. This was the team. He has let me try and like swap the viewpoint. He has some scary mons, like it was Ogrepon Hearthflame and then Urshifu Single Strike. Like Urshifu Single Strike's really scary. I don't know what the Viper does. I don't know what Abomasnow does. But I think the main strategy was just to lead Gouging Fire because I don't think there was an entire fire resist on the entire team. So I wanted to like do a couple things. Like I thought like I could like Sunny Day with Torn, and then just start going crazy with Terrafire, Gouging Fire. I thought I could Sunny Day to like activate Photosynthesis and also like strengthen Heat Crash, which also helps like Great Tusk as well. And then I wanted Terra Fairy Kingambit in the back for like Urshifu as well. And then Urkron Wellspring I actually didn't think looked amazing here, but like I just had it in the back as well. I mean, there is also no water resist with the exception of Abomasnow, but I really can't do much to Abomasnow with Urkron Wellspring. So it's like a decent mon, but I think realistically the 4 mons I was bringing, at least in the initial plan, is Gouging Fire and Torn as the lead, and then Fairy Kingambit in the back, and then Great Tusk as well. But I also think like Ogrepon Wellspring functions well in the back because I can redirect with Follow Me, and then like, you know, go crazy with Kingambit in the late game. So that's kind of like where we're going with this. So we'll see how the game goes. He leads the Viper, Sandy Shocks, I lead Torn and Gouging Fire. So like I said, basic strat, like want to be able to Sunny Day or Tailwind to allow, you know, Terrafire, Gouging Fire to go crazy. Sash Tornadoes is also really nice to stop like any kind of Sandy Shocks from killing me, even though it's booster speed right here. So I'm just going to protect here to allow myself to get the Tailwind up and not take any damage, and he ended up going for Final Gambit, so that's what Survivor does. I had no idea what it did. I was completely caught off guard here, and thankfully the Focus Sash saved me, but he goes for Gravity here, and I truly have no idea why. Like, I have no idea what I'm about to see. And I go for, you know, Sunny Day. I have the Tailwind up, so I'm really fast. Now I am a Terrafire, Gouging Fire with plus attack in the sun. Like, I'm killing something, and that's amazing. And I basically opt to KO the Sandy Shock since it's the most immediate threat to Gouging Fire. But I end up learning that the reason he has Gravity is because he has Sing Screamtail. And this sounds like, oh, it's a bit of a meme, but there's no Sleep Clause in VGC. So with Gravity up, he can kind of just continuously sing my entire team to put me to sleep, and that's not good because sleep is really, really broken in VGC. So I basically need to hope that I start getting some early wake-ups. Obviously, Heat Wave is really nice as a spread move to just gain a bunch of damage, and I think I have a good shot of winning this game, but now that he also knows my Focus Sash tech, it's going to be really tough in a Game 2 situation where he can play with, you know, sleep a little bit more diligently. So we're going to see Sing here. That's going to come off, and I'm going to take some acrobatics damage, but now I'm double asleep, and I can't really do anything about this. So I get a very lucky turn 1 wake, and that pretty much seals me the game. If I didn't get a turn 1 wake, then this could have been really, really bad if he got lucky with Sing turns. And he doesn't, so that's very nice at least. So we're going to see a Tailwind come off here. We're going to see a Bleak Wind come off here, and like this can't really win, but I'm very worried for a Game 2. So we're going to see Bleak Wind come off in this capacity here, and we are going to see Encore fail, and like, you know, then I just kill it with Earthquake, and that's fine. But Game 2 is going to be really scary, so we're going to see how this goes. We're going to switch our viewpoint here, and we are going to see how this happens. So same leads. I didn't think necessarily that changing my lead was a bad idea because I liked the Focus Sash to protect from Final Gambit, but I did want to switch to Lapras here just to like account for the possible Final Gambit. That way I could like go into Torn later and have that Focus Sash up. But I ultimately realized like it doesn't really matter because he's still going to get the Gravity Sing. I can't really do anything about that. So I decided to try and make a little read into Torn to catch the Earth Power and forget that Gravity's up. So I'm like, oh shit. So this is already going really, really badly. And especially the fact that he's just like spamming Sing here, like it's really difficult. Earth Power is going to KO Torn, and since I have a sleeping Gouging Fire, like there's just really not a ton I can do. Like he's just positioned this turn really, really well. And he even like pops off the Terra Ice. So like I can't really do anything from this position. Yeah, I royally fucked up. Like I really thought like that by going Lapras I would somehow like catch the Final Gambit and then Torn would be better in the late, and I guess my mistake was switching in Torn this turn rather than like keeping it in the back. Lesson learned, I guess. I still have a game 3. And to be honest, like somehow, some way, despite this, like I managed to come back into a 2-2 situation. But with Encore and Protect and stuff, like it's going to be kind of tough. Like Protect, he can kind of force me to lock into things. And he also can disable, which is like the real reason that Screamtail is really good. So disabling my Terra Blast just makes, you know, me unable to hit the Urshifu. He can spam Sing now. He can spam Wicked Blow. Now I'm disabled from using Terra Blast. So yes, I can like Iron Head to KO Urshifu. I guess I should have KO'd the Screamtail. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Yeah, I guess I should have KO'd the Screamtail, and then I probably would have won. So I don't know. Lesson learned there. This was a little bit of a discombobulated game. But just like the combination of Encore, look at the set. Sing, Encore, Disable, Protect. Like that's what Screamtail does here. So it just stops me entirely from like locking into stuff, and it just forces me to like struggle when I'm locked into Encore and Disable. I just have no choice. So he ends up winning the second game, so we have a third game to play, and I'm really thinking to myself, okay, is there a better opening that I could be doing? I actually decide, no, there's not a better opening that I could be doing, but there's a better lead, like turn 1 sequence that I could be doing in order to account for this. And that is essentially to just let Torn die, to just let the strategy of, hey, I'm going to, let Torn just take the damage from Sandy Shocks and the final Gambit, because it at the very least will allow me to get damage on Sandy Shocks. So no protecting here, just immediately go for Sandy Shocks. I know for a fact that he wants to break the sash and take Torn out right away, because Torn's like the biggest threat to his strategy, I suppose. But I just want to get King Gambit in to threaten Screamtail, which I know is wanting to come in next to do the same. So I realize that's kind of been my issue this entire time, is the fact that I haven't had the appropriate duo in to threaten Screamtail from doing the Screamtail thing, because ultimately Screamtail can only put one of these 2 things to sleep per turn. So at least if I have one Mon that threatens it, that's good. So I'm going to kind of just play a 50-50 game here and try and catch Screamtail singing the Gouging Fire, but A12 ends up singing the King Gambit, and I kind of think that it's wraps from here, because I can't really do much, but I get really lucky and get a turn 1 sleep, and that's huge, because it means that I can't get Earth powered with Gouging Fire. Gouging Fire stays awake, and even though, you know, we're about to see a Sing here, I at the very least, you know, have an awake King Gambit, so Screamtail can't do like the Encore Disable shenanigans yet. Obviously I'm gonna get sung here, and that's not great. I definitely like should not have protected there as well. Like plenty of misplays this sequence, and thankfully like Gouging Fire is really good. Crits, but I did not deserve that. So we're going to go into Tusk here. Now this is the thing that's different here, is that like the speed boost Tusk is really solid with Heavy Slam to outspeed the Screamtail, so I wanted to have that in back as added speed control, and that at the very least is going to be quite useful. But I got quite lucky between the crit and the early sleep turns. This was kind of wraps for me. So I lost a lot of like 50-50 sequences, but VGC is kind of it takes a lot of skill to be good at VGC, but I got quite lucky here. And got kind of bailed. So on to round 2, that is semifinals for us. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But it was a bit of a mess. It was my first attempt at VGC. Obviously, you're not going to see like high skilled VGC right now, but these games are fun, right? And they're fun games, so that's why I'm showing them to you. All right, game 2. We are taking on Napimsigan. I don't remember his actual like Smogon name, but he had like a hail team, which is really scary, with like Shinpao and Veil and like Blizzard bundle, which also gets like speed control with Icy Wind and stuff, like really scary stuff. And then Terra normal E-Speed Dragonite is really scary. So it's really these front 4 that I expect to be seeing. And this is where like I really wanted like Lapras to shine with like Body Press, Ice Shard, and Liquidation to hit like the entire team. Like look at it, like Body Press for the ice types, Ice Shard for the Dragonite plus the Terra Normal Dragonite with Curse. Like, I don't know. I kind of figured that was a good option. And with Mental Herb, it stops things like Encore on Bundle and Tink and the Alola Tails. But the real strategy here is to try and win with the combination of Howl, which boosts your opponent's attack as well, and then things like Terra Water King Gambit, or even Ogre Pond Wellspring in a good situation. But ultimately, I really want to try and make, like, I think it's Speed Boost Gouging Fire with Howl, and that in turn can help Ogre Pond Wellspring or King Gambit. Like, Terra Water King Gambit looks really good here because there's really not a lot that can threaten it besides like Freeze Dry on Bundle. And then Tailwind Torrential is also really useful because giving speed boost to Great Tusk looks really strong. So there's a lot of different sequences. I actually don't remember what I do as my opening lead. Yeah, it's just the Gouging Fire King Gambit. So yeah, the strategy here is just to Howl. I have the boosted speed, so Howl should go first. And that will enable me to, you know, get where I need to be. So I'm going to Howl. I'm going to boost my King Gambit's attack. We're going to see a Swords Dance coming out from this, Moonblast coming out from Ninetales, and an Iron Head, which is just going to KO the Ninetales. So if that's like a Fizz-Def Ninetales, obviously, then that Howl boost is really important. But even though it might not have been important, just the fact that I have double attack boost right now is very threatening, and the fact that Gouging Fire is the fastest thing on the field, and he has to deal with a +1 King Gambit, definitely a very successful turn for me. So we're going to see Bundle come out here. It's going to reveal that it is Booster Speed. It has to target something. It ends up targeting King Gambit, but that essentially means that I can click Breaking Swipe, hit both bonds. I forgot about that. And with the minus attack, I'm hoping that Shin-Pao like doesn't KO me, and it ends up not, which is quite good. And that allows me to kill it. Obviously, like I would have killed it either way, but just like in VGC, since like it's 4 mons, like just that live is so huge because he has to basically kill it with something. And the fact that I can run Burning Bulwark to potentially punish the E-Speed revenging me is nice. Now, obviously, he's really smart. And doesn't E-Speed the obvious like Burning Bulwark, burn, protect type thing. But, you know, that was the idea at the very least. I can Sucker Punch here to try and, you know, damage the Bundle. I get really lucky with the second Burning Bulwark. And, like, ultimately, I can't lose here, right? Because of this opening has just been so threatening. Like, if Bundle wants to revenge Gouging Fire, it has to catch a Sucker Punch again. If, like, it wants to bypass Sucker Punch, then Dragonite has to E-Speed and risk burn. So, like, E-Speed prevents that entire sequence, but I still have Mon in the back, which is nice. So I just go into Ogre Pond Wellspring, and I can click Follow Me, which is also amazing. I'm going to die, but now Gouging Fire can click Breaking Swipe, kill the Iron Bundle, break Dragonite's Sash, and get minus attack. So I can't lose that sequence, and then I get to bring in Great Tusk and go crazy. So Extreme Speed, obviously, then I can burn it and KO with Ice Spinner. So that was like, I lost a lot of mons in that sequence, but that was the best way I could lock up the game by just, you know, forcing redirection and just forcing a series of plays that got me the win, even if it made me lose some mons. So that's game 1. We ended up winning game 1. That was awesome. Okay, game 2. I decided I kind of just want to do the same lead. Like, if I'm up 1, I don't know how smart this is, but like if I'm up 1, I just want to do the same thing and see how they change. Because ultimately, I can react to how they react if I win game 1, but they can't react to how I react to them winning game 2. So that's sort of my mentality here. So we're going to see how it goes. I decide to do the same thing, except for the fact that I want to Heat Crash this time instead of click Howl, because ultimately I figured that if he was clicking Sword Stance or just trying to attack one of my mons with Shin-Pao, with lead Shin-Pao, then the combination of Heat Crash into just like, I don't know, Iron Head or something was going to KO the Shin-Pao. And Shin-Pao's like such a threat that I'd rather just like KO it. So I just decided to double target the Shin-Pao. I didn't think he was going to click Protect. So I just said, hey, you know what, let's double it. And now I can like Howl this turn if I want to, or I can just attack. I just get the damage with can Gambit while I have it, and then get the damage with Gouging Fire while I have it. Like, I'm up in Mons, I just want to start attacking things. The major issue here is just that, like, I can't revenge bundle. So, like, that's a major issue. And especially with, like, an inability to Terra, like, I'm going to die to Freeze Dry here. Gouging Fire literally cannot, like, KO the bundle under snow, and it's just not a good sequence for me. So where did I fuck up there? Because I thought that opening sequence was good. Ultimately, I fucked up there because even though KOing Shinpao looked really tempting to do, it just really opened up bundle to go crazy. So I need to think to myself, okay, how do I beat bundle? And there's one way I can beat bundle right now, and that is with our little secret demon that I haven't unleashed yet, in the form of our Curse Mental Herb Lapras, right? So I'm looking at this set, and literally, like, I could Terra Fire and hard wall Iron Bundle with, like, Hydro Pump Freeze Dry, and it looks pretty good. And he hasn't been bringing Tink, he hasn't been bringing Blaziken, he's just been bringing these 4, and that's what Lapras is built for. So, like, this is why winning game 1 is so important. I can condition him to bring these 4 Mons. I don't think he's going to bring the other ones. And I can bring in the counterplay, and that counterplay is in the form of Lapras here. So we're going to try and cook with Lapras. Now, that means doing a different opening lead, because I want to be able to support Lapras as best I can in the back. But that means KOing things ASAP. Like, I want to KO and deal as just much damage as humanly possible, which means I just want to spam boosted speed Heat Crash against things. If Aurora Veil goes up, that's fine. I can Terra my Ogerpon and start damaging things, obviously with the Spadef boost and the Pure Water. That puts me in a great position. Encoring the Iron Bundle is huge because that will help me bring Lapras in safely. And I decide to do just that. He ends up targeting the Gouging Fire, which is great for me. And especially the fact that Dragonite comes in now, I can go for Breaking Swipe, lower the attack. That also enables Lapras a little bit further. And now we have Great Tusk in the back. And since I'm Yachi Berry, I'm able to deal with this bundle pretty decently. However, it's such a threat to my team, I literally just have to, like, take it out now. That's kind of like the situation that I'm in. Because obviously Encore stays, but, like, I'm kind of in a tough position here. Like, yes, this Dragonite is confused, but, like, if this bundle falls out of where its sentence is, falls out of Encore, like, I don't know, it could just be really scary. Like, it's going to do too much damage to my Lapras. So in my mind, I need to protect Ogerpon to make sure that I, can preserve as much HP as possible, try and body press the bundle so that I can, like, weaken it to be in range of an Ice Shard. And then since Dragonite is confused, I can just kind of, like, attack the Dragonite. So I Ice Shard the bundle here, which, makes sense. And I Ivy Cudgel an incoming Shinpao. Now, it makes sense that he wants to switch because he wants to Terra Normal and start, like, damaging me as much as humanly possible. But him having Shinpao in the back is really nice for me because taking that Ivy Cudgel damage means that Shinpao is in range of, what move? It's in range of Ice Shard from our dear friend Lapras. So that's going to KO the Shinpao here, and it's going to be really tough for Dragonite to be able to KO my guys. Now, it ends up being Terra Ice and not Terra Normal. If it was Terra Normal, obviously it would have KO'd the Ogerpon, but then it would have been in range of Body Press from Lapras. So ultimately, this works out perfectly for me. And, 1 point Lapras in VGC ends up, like, really doing well, nabbing, a really crucial KO against both Shinpao and Iron Bundle. Just nice anti-ice check, and that's what it was drafted to do. So shout out to Lapras and VGC. I was talking to some VGC drafters, and they were saying that, like, my usage of Lapras in this game inspired some interesting conversation to actually consider whether Lapras is a viable low-tier pick or not. And maybe it is. We'll see. We'll see if it gets drafted in DCL's, like, VGC division or whatever. I need to take a sip of iced tea. That's the goal. Anyway, 1 game left. Finals. It's a tough one. It's against Patar, who seems like a pretty decent VGC player, making it all the way to finals. Iron Hands is really scary. Torn is really good speed control. And then Ozzy was a demon in VGC Draft as well. I remember Trace had it in our VGC team in DCL1. So scary stuff. This was the team, and it was pretty straightforward. Like, I just kind of wanted to damage things. Like, this entire team was just Tailwind with Torn, damage the hell out of things. It was the first matchup that I felt really confident in just spamming Terra Water Ivy Cudgel with Wellspring. I liked Lapras's like support ability with Life Dew to like heal my team, and just spam Muddy Water, maybe lower accuracy, etc. Gouging Fire looks really good with Dragon Dance here, and just like a fire move. Albeit it can't really touch Azu greatly, so it's kind of a bit of a sitting duck there. So it wasn't necessarily the main strat, but like I think it's good in the back. I liked Booster Speed Tusk in general because Earthquake plus Ice Spinner does a ton to this team. So that was kind of the idea there, especially if I could get Tailwind up. That's super huge because it bypasses his Torn's Tailwind. And then Terra's Psychic Kingambit was interesting. I mean, Psychic's kind of there just to do as much damage as possible to the, the Iron Hands. Because I didn't like Terra Ground because of Azu, and I didn't like Terra Fairy because of Scizor. So Psychic, weirdly, was the mon that I thought was the button that I thought was best here. We'll see if I regret that or not. But really, the idea is just like Tailwind up, spam Ivy Cudgel, and then the rest is in the back, and hopefully it's enough to support me. So we're going to see a Scissor lead, and we're going to see a Torn lead. So I imagine we're seeing Tailwind. I ended up deciding to do a Gouging Fire Torn lead. That was kind of the idea from the original start because I wanted to sort of counteract any kind of lead Landorus shenanigans where Landorus would be tempted to like Shukaberry, where Landorus would be tempted to like Earth Power me, and then I could like double target it. That was kind of the idea that I was going for with this lead, but he doesn't end up leading Lando, so I kind of just have to adjust. And he actually ends up going Ampharos, presumably to attempt to catch Tornadus on a U-turn or Gouging Fire just on like a fire move to paralyze me with static. But I just want to go for Icy Wind here because I want to slow the Tornadus as much as possible before it goes for Tailwind. And stunningly, he crashed as a ridiculous amount to this Ampharos. Bleak Wind Storm comes off, it misses, which is quite unfortunate. This is just going to allow me to get my own Tailwind off, and since like he didn't lead Lando, I'm realizing, wait a minute, Gouging Fire actually looks pretty crazy here. I was expecting Azu to be in the back, but if Azu's not in the back, then Gouging Fire goes crazy. It's possible that he didn't expect me to bring Gouging Fire because he knew that I had Azumarill. But I just wanted to go for it because I wanted to bait the Lando. So it ended up being kind of a perfect lead sequence by accident for me because Scizor is in the back. So he's missing one of Lando and Azu, which is great for me. So we're just going to kind of start setting up with Gouging Fire and trying to win. That's kind of the goal. It ends up being Lando. He just didn't lead with it, obviously. So I'm just going to Terra my Okrabon. Try and KO the Lando before it does any damage to me. Lando protects, but that's no big deal because I can still, Ivy Cudgel the Lando, Fire Move the Scizor, and shockingly, this ends up being a really easy game one. Pretty much just because he didn't bring Azumarill to the game. He told me after that he was expecting me to bench Gouging Fire in game one, so he just got that call wrong, and it punished him really badly because he made that call. So here we are in game two. Surely this time, he's going to adjust, and he definitely does. He ends up leading Lando, but because he didn't lead Lando the first time, he actually hasn't seen the Shukaberry yet. So I can actually like pull off my tech here where he's going to try and Earth Power with Gouging Fire and fail because, I have the Shukaberry. I can go for Icy Wind here, and that's going to allow me to KO the Landorus. So double targeting is great. Now I'm able to Burning Bulwark if he's trying to like fake out me in any capacity. Bleak Wind is going to miss against me, which is quite unfortunate. And he actually wild charges the Torn, which I wasn't entirely expecting. I was expecting him just try and KO the Gouging Fire. This makes a lot of sense because Torn could just Bleak Wind Storm and double KO me. So this was definitely a misplay by me to essentially click Burning Bulwark on that turn prior. He goes Really Windstorm again. Shockingly, it doesn't kill the Gouging Fire, but it doesn't really matter because with the speed drop, the Iron Hands is going to KO me. And now it's Ogerpon Great Tusk. This doesn't look very good. That last turn was really bad for me. Basically, the Protect turn where I lost a turn. But I'm looking at his team and I'm saying, okay, you know what? Depending on what's in the bag, I have a decent shot here because still Water Move looks great. Like Ogerpon spamming Ivy Cudgel looks great. Obviously the Tailwind is up, so I have to double Protect here and stop the Tailwind. Obviously he's going to Tailwind again, but it forces him to click Tailwind that turn. So I need to at least force that in some capacity. So he's going to click Tailwind this turn. I know he's going to click Tailwind this turn. I'm just going to KO him because I cannot in any capacity let Torn stay in afterwards because I'm going to die to a double flying move if I don't KO Torn there because under Tailwind he'll outspeed. So I have to force him to click Tailwind here and KO it while I do it. Encore on Ogerpon is really huge here because he's gone for Wild Charge against something, and forcing it into Wild Charge is quite useful. Now, obviously, I'm dead to this next Wild Charge, but I can always Spiky Shield, and basically means that Iron Hand's Wild Charge will do nothing because I'm a Ground type here. It's going to take damage if it's Ogerpon, and I'm going to reveal the very, very cool Temper Flare, which was a tech literally just for this Scizor, and it's going to do a great deal of damage. And since this Wild Charge is obviously taking a bit of more chip because of the Spiky Shield, I'm going to be able to Temper Flare the Scizor here, and all of a sudden I've ended up winning. Yes, he's going to KO Ogerpon with Wild Charge, but I would be able to outspeed and kill with Great Tusk next turn anyway, in spite of the Tailwind being up. I would imagine, maybe not, I don't know, but this was just my best series of plays. So anyway, that commentary probably wasn't incredible, but the singles ones will be. This is just some fun VGC games, and I hope you all enjoyed. So apparently I pioneered Lapras in VGC Draft. That's pretty cool. Stay forward to a bunch of like singles draft content coming up a little bit soon, and just more like unfiltered Addie looking at games, talking, and kind of enjoying her life. Which is fun. I enjoy enjoying life. It's pretty good. Anyway, see you all later. Bye bye.